Hi, and welcome back to the last part of my Buyer Bootcamp series. And today we're going to talk about structuring the offer to get you into that house. Once again, my name is David Moyer. I'm with Keller Williams Real Estate in Dayton, Ohio. I've been a lifetime resident of the greater Dayton area. And if this is your first time visiting my channel, make sure you subscribe so you can check out all the other parts of this series or any other series that may interest you, or you can share this with somebody who's wondering whether or not 2026 is the year they're going to get into a property. So let's dive into it exactly for what sellers are looking for if you're a buyer out there writing an offer in today's market. And the first thing that sellers are looking for is certainty. They want that certainty that the buyer is ready and the buyer is prepared. And that starts with, like I said before, a buyer's consultation. I walk my buyers through the entire process before we ever step foot in the property to make sure they understand everything up front and they're ready to write that nice, clean offer. And that leads me to the clean offer. Clean offers are important. You don't want to put in some of the small, minute details, especially if you're going into a multiple offer situation. The sellers may overlook your offer right away and move on and work with somebody else. Now, on top of that, we're also looking at flexible occupancy. And what does that mean? That means if you buy the home today and you're closing in 30 days and you want to get into that home right away, you want to make sure that the seller is actually prepared to be out of the home in 30 days. Maybe their circumstances are a relocation and they can't be out until 15, 20 days after that. You want to know that in advance, especially if you're in a multiple offer situation, because writing the offer and saying that you demand occupancy at closing, if somebody else is a little bit more flexible with their occupancy, they may win over your offer, even if some of your terms are a little bit better. So you want to be flexible and have a plan in place if you can't get into the home right away. Also, we want to talk about strong financing. And this is extremely important. I see it time and time again in the greater Dayton area, buyers that are writing their offers and their financing is not complete or they're not completely ready. They're coming to the table with a pre-qualification letter and not a pre-approval letter. That means they have given their information to their lender, but the lender has not verified that information. So that letter they're providing is not as strong as the pre-approval. So making sure that you have strong financing and you're ready to go is key. And that's part of my buyer consultation process. And that's part of the process that your loan officer should be going over with you as well. Once again, before you ever step foot in the property. The last thing you want to do is see a home without having those ducks in a row and wanting to write the offer, but not being able to get that pre-approval letter in time, and somebody else comes in and writes an offer and bumps you out of the way, and you don't get that home that you had your heart set on. So having those things ready is going to be key. So what does it mean to really be prepared? In the greater Dayton area, if you've been following my Buyer Bootcamp series, you're going to know that under the $350,000 price point is going to have a lot more competition. So if you're under that $350,000 price point, being prepared, like I said before, is key. And that is expecting multiple offers. There is a high probability that you may be competing for this property with somebody else that saw it at the exact same time, or maybe even right after you saw that property. So being prepared for what happens in the event you go into a multiple offer situation is going to be key. And what does that mean? If we know going into writing the offer that there are potentially other offers coming in, we may want to put in an escalation clause. An escalation clause essentially says we will beat any other offer by XYZ number of dollars in their pocket up to a capped amount. That way it's just not open-ended, but it's going to escalate your contract price to beat anybody else off the table in the event there are multiple offers that are happening. So escalation clauses can be really important even in this market. And we're also talking about tighter inspection periods. You're buying that home and you're asking that seller for 14 to 20 days to inspect the property. Somebody else may come along and say they're only looking for 7 to 10 days to inspect the property. That's going to be a lot more appealing to that seller. Now, I'm not saying leaving inspections off the table, but what I am saying is being more due diligent and being stricter with your time frame to do those inspections, of which I help you with, so that you can make sure that that seller feels comfortable that you're not going to take the next several weeks doing inspection after inspection and drag out the entire process. You're going to get things done in an efficient and timely manner. That's going to make those sellers feel a lot better. Now, if you're in the $500,000 and over price point, You're not looking at as many escalation clauses as you normally would at that 350 and under price point, but they still could happen. But one of the things the buyers will be prepared for if they're looking to make an offer over $500,000, and what those sellers expect is some negotiation leverage. Be prepared to negotiate heavily and strong, and have a game plan in place before you ever submit that offer. Don't go into it blindly, not knowing which direction you're going to go should that seller counter your offer. And if you're over $500,000, those sellers are going to expect you to be efficient and to be ready. Also, take a look at the longer day on market. If the home has been on the market for just a few days, you may have a little bit more negotiating power than you would if the home had been onto the market for a longer period of time. Now, if it has been an extremely long period of time, you may actually be able to negotiate a lower price. Those $500,000 price homes are staying on the market a little bit longer than $350,000 and under. So if that $500,000 home has been on the market for 100 days and nobody has written an offer yet, or maybe they did and it fell through, you have the ability to maybe go in there and negotiate a little bit stronger. Also, when it comes to inspections, be prepared that maybe the seller is not looking to actually do those repairs physically before they move out, but maybe they will compensate you for some of their repair requests in the form of credits that you can take care of those inspection problems after you close. Or maybe if you didn't ask for any sort of closing cost up front when you negotiated the contract and you came across some inspection issues that you want to make sure are taken care of, perhaps that seller can actually compensate you with closing costs. That way you can have less money out of pocket when you go to the closing table and take care of those issues on your own post-closing. There's a lot of different ways to get there, but those are the most strategic ways that I definitely advise my buyers to be aware of before they ever walk in the front door of that property. Now, we talked about different ways of tightening the inspection period and everything like that. One thing that I want to enforce is that I never recommend to my buyers to waive their inspections completely. If a seller is asking you to waive your inspections 100%, there better be a really good reason, whether that be we have a new roof, we have a new furnace, we just had our plumbing redone, you name it, there better be something there. Waiving those inspections can be extremely risky, and I never recommend that to my buyers whatsoever, unless it's an extremely special circumstance and you just don't want to miss out on an opportunity to purchase that property. Also, there are things such as appraisal gaps. This goes in line with that escalation clause we talked about a little bit earlier, but an appraisal gap essentially says, hey, we've gone into multiple offers on your property. Maybe I'm paying $10,000 more than your asking price because that's what happened during the negotiations because we were competing with another offer. And I am so strongly wanting this property that I'm willing to pay XYZ over the appraised value in the event the appraisal comes under. So let's say the property is listed for $350,000, you go into multiple offers and you end up paying $360,000 for that property. You can actually tell the seller, I am willing to pay $2,000, $5,000, or maybe even $10,000 over the appraised value should it appraise under. That essentially means if the appraiser goes through there and comes back and says they're appraising the home at $350,000 and you have a $5,000 appraisal gap, let's say, you're still telling the seller that you're still willing to pay $355,000 for that property so that you can secure things upfront during those negotiations. Now, in the event, let's say it's extreme and that home appraises for $320,000, you're still not obligated to pay the $360,000 price point, but because you did put in there as an example that $5,000 appraisal gap, if the home appraised for $320,000, you're now telling the seller, I will pay you $325,000. So that's just something you can put forward that gives the seller the extra security, knowing that your contract is going to go through and they're not going to regret not taking somebody else's offer. So keep that in mind, especially when it comes to multiple offers. Also, shorter contingency windows. This may be contingent upon sale, contingent upon close. If you're selling a property and it's contingent on closing on that property before you complete this transaction, make sure that appraisal contingency is shorter. That also goes in line with the appraisal contingency and the inspection contingency. So making sure you're not dragging out the entire contract process to get into the property can be crucial when it comes to a seller's perspective. And you're not looking to necessarily do everything the seller wants, but what you're doing is you're giving them the assurances that you're not wasting their time, you're a serious buyer, and the contract terms are going to be negotiated in an efficient manner that's going to get everybody to the closing table in a timely manner and work well for both parties. So once again, keep in mind that there are different things you can do for your contracts when it comes to multiple offers or when it comes to buying a home in the greater Dayton area. There are a lot more that I can go over that would make this video probably far too long, and I'd probably lose your attention span by the time I got there, which is why those buyer consultations are so important. I have a wealth of knowledge that I am always willing to give to people that call me for consultations. They want to come and sit down in my office and discuss what it's like to buy a home here in the greater Dayton area, whether they're relocating and they're unfamiliar with our customs and our strategies, or if they're looking to move within the greater Dayton area, or if it's their first time ever purchasing a home and they just don't know where to start and they want to sit down for a good hour and ask all those questions that have been burning inside of their minds. I'm happy to do that. Once again, my name is David Moyer. I'm with Keller Williams Advisors Real Estate in Dayton, Ohio. I've been a lifetime resident of Dayton. I've been selling real estate for 21 years, and I'm here to make sure your transaction is a fruitful one, a smooth one, and to help you achieve your goals in real estate. I hope you found this series to be helpful in my little buyer boot camp, as I call it. And once again, if it's your first time, make sure you like and subscribe so that you can check out all the other videos as well in the entire series, as well as some of the other series that I've put out there that not only go over strategies for buying and selling in the greater Dayton area, but also some of the things that just make living here in Dayton so fantastic. And that's why I love calling Dayton my home. Thanks again for watching. If I've missed anything, if you have other questions or comments, feel free to leave them below. I'm always happy to answer those and touch base with you, or you can schedule a consultation. All that information is in the description as well as in my bio, and I look forward to helping you get into your home this year. Thanks again. Oh, and before you go, just so you know, if you've watched every single part of this series and you've taken really good notes and you've learned something, just know by watching all 4 of these videos in the series, you are 90% ahead of all the other buyers that are out there looking to make their moves as well. So this is going to come in crucial when the time comes for you to make your move and purchasing your home. Once again, make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.